Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a pretty cool install for a engine transmission skid plate. So I've been looking at a bunch of them. They're all super expensive. We all know that. And you pay for what you get, no doubt. But I wanted to give this company a try. I've been looking at them for a little while online. It's Mountain Off-Road Enterprises. More. That's I've been seeing them around for a while. They're based out of Colorado. They make all their own products. So this skid plate was pretty inexpensive, so I had to give it a shot. So guys on a budget kind of know what their options are when it comes to skid plates. And I get it, right? Buy once, cry once. And that's normally what I do. But you know, on this Gladiator, I've kind of been on a budget, not gonna lie. It's hard building two Jeeps. I've got a tremendous amount of money in our JL. Anybody has seen that one, they know what I'm talking about. So I've kind of been on a budget on this one, but I wanna give this, all that aside, I wanna give this skid plate a try. I'm gonna beat the hell out of it, not gonna pull any punches, and I'm gonna give a good review. Let's do a year review on it and see how it holds up. So, and another thing, this don't go off-road as much or as hardcore as the JL. So I didn't feel like I needed to spend, you know, $3,000 on a full belly skid. Hell, I don't even have that under my JL. So check it out. It looks like it's designed very well. It looks like 3/16 plate metal that they used. When I was looking at this, I could not for the life of me find an underside picture of this. So I didn't know if it had any bracing. I didn't know anything about it. All of the photos you see of this skid plate for the diesel is just the bottom side. So as far as being rigid, I had no idea what it was gonna have. But now that I've got it and I've opened it up, it looks great. It's got the funnel for the oil. It does have a backbone for the middle for when you take a hard hit. This will defend the skid plate against those rocks as far as force. When you fall down on this will help hold that thing straight. And that's the biggest thing, right? When you have all this real estate here, if you don't have some bracing, you're gonna be in trouble, right? So I'm glad they have this. And like I said, I couldn't find a picture of this thing nowhere. I paid $390 to get this to my door. It came already ready to roll, powder coated, and all the install pieces that it needs. So it's got 2 engine mount braces that hold the front of it. One for each side, naturally. It's even got these pieces here that bolt to the cross member, your transmission cross member. So I'm sure we'll be removing a couple bolts, installing these in their place, and it'll have this nice little cone. This works great because what that does long term is it keeps the rocks kinda off the head of that bolt. So that's cool. I'm glad to see this. This is kind of a standard, really, when you start looking at skid plates. But yeah, that's it. I'm gonna get to installing this thing, and I'm gonna take you along for the journey. So I'm gonna set you up on a tripod, and I'm gonna probably do it in time lapse. I may stop here and there and give a little bit of instruction on what the heck's going on here. But that being said, I'm gonna get us set up, and then we'll go from there. Okay, y'all, first things first, we have to remove the motor mount bolts, right? So these 2 bolts here and here, or no, here and here, and they're gonna come out from the top on both sides, and then they supply you with new bolts. So you got new bolts and new nuts, and this is for the motor mounts. I mean, yeah, the motor mounts that run down to the skid plate to hold it in place in the front. So I'll remove those from the top, put these in, And I'm gonna loosely put everything on. I'm not gonna put it all on and tighten it all up because you may have to wiggle it here and there. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Put you on time lapse again and get this done. Okay, y'all, so I got the 2 motor mount brackets on. The driver's side wasn't that bad. Let me tell you though, those bolts come out very slowly and they grip the whole time. They never free up to where you can do them with your fingers all the way down to the last thread. So I got those 2 new bolts in on that side. This side, on the passenger side, there's just no way to get to those bolts. So I didn't remove them. I'm using a stock bolts, and I'm gonna use the nuts that were provided in the kit, and I'm gonna screw that, or I already did, screw that motor mount bracket onto it. And we're gonna hope for the best, but here's the deal. Most impacts are gonna be a upward impact, so I don't see a lot of force pushing it off that way, especially when you have the rear bolts back here bolting to the cross member. On my JL skid, it's a custom built Tribe 16 skid, and they just reused the stock bolts that were in that motor mount. He didn't even back them out. He just basically did the same thing, put the bracket up there, put the nut on the existing bolt and tightened it up. So, and it's been good for 5 years. So I'm gonna do that to this one. There's just no way to get to these bolts. I mean, if you look here, there's a O2 sensor, 2 O2 sensors, and a complete wiring harness in the way. So in order to get a ratchet, and a big ratchet, there's just no way to get in there. And if you look at the bottom side, same difference. You can see the mount, kinda, sorta. But there's just no way to get in there, especially with the downpipe and such in the way. So it is what it is. It's gonna freaking work or it won't. Also, right here, you can see that it's very, very close to that control arm. And that's fine, because if I need to, I'll take a grinder disc and I'll trim this bad boy off to clearance it, and it doesn't bother me one bit. I'm gonna continue on. I really don't know how they're gonna expect this. Sorry, I don't know really how they're gonna expect the rear of this to bolt in place, because there's only 2 bolt holes, yet there's 3 bolts on the cross member, and I'm not gonna leave one out. So if I have to drill another hole in this skid plate, I will. You can see here, there's only 2 bolt holes. And I could be full of shit. Once I get this up there, it may be a different thing. But you can see here, it tells you to take this bolt out and this bolt out. There's also a bolt here. So, but there's only 2 holes. So if this spread covers this center bolt here, I'm not having it. I'm gonna drill a hole in the skid plate and I'll put another bolt hole. Let's see how it goes. I'll keep you updated. All right, guys, I got the skid plate installed. Couple of issues, not huge, but nonetheless, they were issues. So the bolt quality, not the best, right? So I don't know what happened, but the one bolt where the engine mounts to the skid plate itself, I was just tightening it up with a 3/8 ratchet, and it is a 3/4 nut, and it stripped either the bolt or the nut. I'm not sure which one, but it just kept turning and turning and turning. And what I did was I put another grade 8 nut to back it up and then tightened it down. So here's what I'm talking about. This nut right here, for some reason, it just kept turning and turning and turning. You don't have to back it up because it's one of those bolts that's got the square around it and the square hole where it locks in place. But nonetheless, I put this on as backup. So what's gonna happen in the future when I need to pull this skid plate off, I'm basically just gonna have to cut that nut and bolt off. You know, it is what it is. And I didn't over torque it. Yeah, that thing's stripped. So I'm gonna have to cut that thing off when I need to remove the skid plate. Other than that, it does have that little clearance issue on the upper control arm. Right. This is the piece that mounts to the motor mounts and comes down and mounts here. And as you can see here, it is touching this control arm. So what's that mean? It means it's touching. But here's what's gonna happen. When this axle goes back up, when I put it on the ground, the axle is gonna go towards the passenger side and up, which means it's not gonna be touching that anymore. So I'm thinking long term, self-clearance. If it gets on my nerves, if I hear it, then it's coming down and I'm gonna cut that ear off. But if I don't hear nothing, it's gonna self-clearance. That control arm, straight beef, that's solid plate. One of them will clearance. I'm gonna put this thing on the ground. I'm gonna check clearance again. You know, kudos to them, to Moore, for giving these. These are always good to have. Gives the rock something to slide off of. And I just winged it at this point. So I tried it with the skid plate on top of these, and it didn't line up very good. So I put the skid plate on the bottom of this. So who knows? I probably got it wrong. I hope not, because I don't have to pull this whole bracket or this whole brace out and redo it. I'm gonna check the directions. All else fails, read the directions. Oh, I see. So yeah, they've got their transfer case skid bolted up here and not that piece that I have. And that's fine. So yeah, it looks like, this skid plate would go on top or below, I should say, this one. So yeah, it'll be fine. I'm not worried about it. We're good to go. I'm gonna let it ride. See how she does over the next year or so. And like I said, for $390 to my door, I'm sure it's worth the money. We'll see long term. Mountain Off-Road Enterprises. My only complaint here is send some better bolts. Other than that, fit and finish is pretty good. Let's go ahead and give it a good beating over the next 12 months or more and see how she does. See how it's held up, and we'll take a good look underneath the vehicle, see if it's bent. My biggest thing is see if it's bent, and we'll go from there, but stay tuned to the review. Until then, we'll catch you later. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Put in some comments if you have any insight, or if you just have a question. It's all good. Anyways, y'all be good. We'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace out.